think from the beginning of time, we've just tried to kind of understand and, I hate to say manipulate, but that is what you're doing with fire. Kind of like taps in just that ancestral thing to still be so enthralled with something like fire, right? I mean, we've had it for thousands of years, and we're still sitting here looking at it, basically, like, but then to control that variable and feel that expansion in general of the fire, and through that, like, an expansion of kind of expansion of you.
Originally, fire wasn't my end goal or my MO or why it even happened for me. I was searching for a way to be in my body and to express myself, and I didn't really know that's what I was searching for. And I was totally a person who was depressed, had anxiety, all this stuff, but I was like not aware of it. I had no idea. I just had all these coping behaviors. And I was at an event and I saw a woman playing with a hula hoop, spinning a hula hoop, tossing it. And I'd never seen that sort of expression, and feminine expression specifically at that time. And it affected me, like full body effect. I'm like, whoa, I want to do that. That looks amazing. And, but I had a lot of blocks to it, and my best friends all also were interested in it, and they easily picked up a hula hoop. They could hula hoop, they started playing with it, and I couldn't. I was not good at it at all. And so much so that I actually made fun of people who did it because I was jealous. The way they held themselves, I was like, I want to be that. I want to wield myself and my energy in the way they're doing it. And then they kept doing it, and then eventually I kept trying it and then being like, this sucks, and then picking it back up. And then eventually it clicked one day, and I'm hooked. I was hooked, and like ever since then, obviously, it's like now I teach it. So, and I moved back home after college because my big reason I wasn't figuring out career stuff, but also life stuff. I needed that, and I really wanted to learn Thai massage, and I somehow, by just circumstance, I was in the right place at the right time, and they were in the right place at the right time. I got to meet Jill Harmon, who is my teacher, lifelong mentor, best friend, and I started studying traditional Thai body work with her, or Thai yoga massage, or I consider it traditional Thai body work, that totally changed my life. I went into it thinking it was cool. Like, I very much was like, I want to be this cool healer, ego, spiritual person who's like, I have all the answers. And thankfully I met Jill, and she helped me see me and make peace with all my and I mean, I did a lot of work too, but she was able to be like a person who was able to help co-regulate me in these times where I totally lost it, that with this big energy that most people just aren't going to be able to be present with. It's really hard for all of us. Since I was so affected by that experience, I knew that I wanted to do that for others, because it was such an essential act for me to become embodied in my body and express myself. And like, this is a personal belief of mine, but if all people came into their embodiment of their full body, but with love and compassion and joy and equanimity, then our world would be totally different. And so many people are so gifted, and they just don't get the opportunity to share it.
Having the courage to spin fire and persistence with practice has opened up a lot of doors for me in my mind, and in my life. I'm really grateful for all of that, all of the people that helped contribute. The community part of it's huge, and like the love that everyone has. I do have words for what it means to me, but there's a lot of words that just don't exist for what it means to me as well. I tend to overthink that a bit because there just aren't words for that feeling. I felt like I dove right in to that world. I dove right into spinning fire and the flow arts and put my entire self into it. Every spare moment I had, I was practicing or watching a video about spinning poi or staff. Me and my friends would rogue burn, and it was just a place we weren't allowed to spin fire, but we would make it so we could get our things together real quick and just spin super fast and go. We never got in trouble. Luckily, I know people who have. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Random parking lots or a little alley next to a bar, or the bar parking lot super quick. Rogue burn's fun. I didn't realize how much spinning and flow arts would become a part of my healing journey at first. But now, if I'm feeling sad and I'm at home and I feel like moving, I pick up my tool. Even if I don't feel like moving, I'll just pick up my tool. It'll help me feel better. Then I'll feel like moving more, and I'm just happy about it. I didn't know it was going to be a healing journey. When I started this journey, I just stumbled upon it. There's so much trauma in my past. I can't just say one thing. It's a pile of things. I was living life just not fully present. And fire was shiny. I wanted to do something brave. I wanted to be seen as brave.
First time I ever picked up fire was probably about a month after practicing. Just spinning like glorified tennis balls and socks or something like that, right? And hitting myself a million times. And I think it was just me and Jackie, and Jackie was totally an influence. It was probably the dead middle of winter, and just went outside in the snow and gave it a shot, and felt really uncomfortable and intimidating, and it was a rush for sure. I had spun like glow sticks here and there, back in the day. I tied them on shoestrings or whatever when I was 15. Just kind of seen some people in the rave scene at the time or whatever doing some pretty cool stuff with glow sticks, so it kind of got me a little interested. I had seen fire spinning at a couple music festivals here and there, and it just kind of scared the hell out of me, honestly. And I was like, them guys are being dangerous. I'm not going over there. That's freaking me out. It looks great, but they're gonna catch something on fire. And I've known Jackie pretty much most of my life. At the time, she had just came back from Indy or it was spinning fire poi, and So it kind of piqued my interest into it more, enough for me to put the focus in. Again, the, collective, like, drive, which is usually through connection. That, at that time is something for us to kind of get to know each other through, and a reason to spend time together. Next thing you know, I'm out in the snow spinning fire, and 5 years later, I'm building fire tools and doing things I would have never really thought I would have felt comfortable doing at all. And really, overall, I think I have a better understanding of the mysterious thing of fire. It's something that's elemental, and it's always there, but everything else you can kind of touch, and it's like very tangible, maybe for air, but when you step outside, the wind's blowing, so just to learn it more about fire and the limits, and that just because you touch it doesn't mean you're gonna get burnt, as long as you don't touch it for too long, and kind of the general nature of that element. I learned a lot about that, and through that learned a lot about myself and other people and the world around me in general. I think just to be able to explore that closer connection to something that's always like, don't touch, stay away.
When I started, I could feel my heartbeat in my teeth. Like, that's how hard, like, my adrenaline was coursing through my body. My veins, I swear to you, were standing a foot outside of my skin, just because everything was just so shrink wrapped around myself, because I was worried I was going to make a mistake. I'd practiced for somewhere in the market of like 2 years, up until I actually picked up fire. And the first time that I did it, I distinctly remember fireworks going off over the top of me. There was, it was at a music festival, just a small local one called Skies Burning. Ironically, that was the first time that I picked up fire poi and decided to spin. Fire, as human beings, is how we have evolved as a species. Like, it's primitive and it's violent, but at the same time, there's, stories and so many different mythos of a god coming down and giving us the gift of fire. And we have, stylized our life around fire. It's present in the sun. It's present at the core of the earth. It's the heart of everything. It's pure energy, and it's in its nature to destroy itself. And, letting me borrow it for a time. If I mess up, it lets me know I mess up. And if you really mess up, like, it can be pretty heavy. It can be pretty serious. It can get out of control really quick. The sound of it when you're moving it around yourself is almost deafening. It's like, standing in the middle of a flood. And I chose to, use it similar to a toy. You explore your way into chaining together the whole arsenal of stuff that you have to paint this fleeting picture with light. And, you can sit there and try and recreate the exact same image every single time. And because of, the human coefficient inside of it, it will never actually be like a rubber stamp that you do. Your, placement of a petal on a flower is going to be a little bit off, or, they're not going to be perfectly aligned with one another. They're going to actually be kind of, X-shaped when you're doing it. So if you're looking at it from the side, it looks like a horrible mess. And if you're looking at it from the front, it's this whole sacred geometry pattern that's going around this, just person right there that is, for lack of a better term, a vessel. I know that I talked to you earlier about all of this crazy stuff that I was fixating on at the time. And I mean, you truly are just a vessel for the fire to, dance, for you to manipulate it, not even necessarily manipulate it, for you to suggest what it wants to do. If it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards. I was going to this random house after a show that I caught of a band that I liked in town, and I rode my bicycle out there. I have no idea how I got there to this day, but I roll up, and into this backyard is like tallest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Hi, I'm Brent.
Sitting there spinning fire around, and it's just like, what is this? This is the craziest thing that I've ever seen. And I definitely overwhelmed him the first time that I met him. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's just like, what the f- is happening? So eventually, after me bombarding him with questions every time that I saw him, he finally gave me some information, and I sought it out on my own. In the hour or two that I had, between work and sleep and eating and just general self-care, I would try and learn stuff, and would watch countless amounts of videos on doing stuff, and just keep chasing, getting better and practicing until, one day I'd, eventually run back into this guy that I saw.
Hi, I'm Brent.
Spinning poi, and be able to show him that it's just like, look, like, I learned from you. Like, I pursued this, because of my interaction with you. I, became what I am because of this one chance night in, a random backyard. Just, it became, this part of me. And I have, while it's been on a back burner, I've never been able to, necessarily walk away from it entirely. Like, all over the world, there are these elaborate firework displays of, people literally manipulating the gift that was given to us from Prometheus. I want dopamine.
Let it get hot a little bit.
Yeah.
Let it get hot. It's a little windy too.
Just so heavy.
Windy. Okay. About to go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
When people first see it, they don't really understand like what's going on. It almost looks like magic because it kind of doesn't look like it would be possible. First of all, it's dangerous. Things are burning, and then when you see like a poi head, you don't really know that it's like attached to a chain. And the way you spin them around, it kind of looks like they should be like hitting each other and stuff. So it's mesmerizing and dangerous and cool and entertaining. Hi, I'm Brent. I was at Burning Man, and it was like 2005 or something like that. I was like 20 years old, but I saw something, and I was like, those are like weird circus people, you know what I mean? And then I guess like, a few years later, I was the weird circus person, but no, it does seem like a crazy, dangerous, like magical thing, but that's the lesson, is that you just practice and you get better and better and better at it, and then you can be doing the amazing thing yourself. So I don't think I have any particular talent for fire spinning or kinesthetic movement or anything like that in particular. The only thing that I do have is a desire. I had a desire to be good and the discipline to keep practicing, basically. So I'm sure there's people that if they practice as much as I have, they'd be way better than me, just because they have more of a natural ability, Practice, you can do amazing stuff. Just about anybody. I've always been drawn to fire as a kid, definitely. 4th of July was my favorite holiday for sure, and used to love to get a bunch of fireworks and light them on fire and burning stuff in alleyways as a kid. So I've always been drawn to fire. And campfires, as a kid going camping and stuff. So definitely been drawn to fire for sure. It's the number one way that I express myself, like artistically, basically. I can get very, very creative in costuming and choreography and tricks and technical skill. So it means a lot of different things to me. It's also a social thing with the troupe, working with a group of people, to come together and work hard to create something that's like bigger than one person. So there's a lot of different aspects that goes into a lot of different aspects of why I enjoy fire spinning. Yeah. It's really weird. It definitely has become like part of my identity and who I am and stuff. I first started spinning stuff. I was just at a party and somebody had some glow sticks on some shoestrings, and he was whipping them around, and I picked them up and I started spinning them, and I was like, this is like really fun. And he's like, yeah, man, it's like a whole art form. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, people get really good at it. So then I looked up some videos on YouTube, and I saw people that were doing some really cool stuff like glow stringing moves, and I started practicing some of them, and then I learned that people spin fire as well. And I started seeing some videos on YouTube of that, and I was like mesmerized by that. And I kind of remembered like around that time seeing it at music festivals too. And the more that I started practicing, it was just like super fun and addictive, and you just get better and better. So the rest is history, so to say. I was practicing with probably old tennis balls and shoestrings in my backyard, and Amy, who was one of the original members that started it, I think she saw her ex-husband. She was in her backyard, which is like 2 houses down from me, and I think she saw the poi whipping above the fence as I was spinning circles, and she came down and started talking to me and told me how she spins poi, and she's been spinning fire for such a long time, and that's how I met her. And then I think Nick talked a little bit about how he saw me spinning fire one time at what they call a gorilla burn.
Like, tallest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Where you kind of illegally just go out and spin fire without a permit and all this stuff. And this was a long time ago. But it was at a festival downtown Fort Wayne. And I went out and did that. And Nick saw me. And then I think we had a party at my brother's house later on that night. And he came up and was asking me all these questions and stuff.
I definitely overwhelmed him the first time that I met him.
And then after that, I went to live in California for a few years. And Nick and Amy and some other people in the meantime started fire and flow arts here and started the troupe. And I was kind of keeping track of what they were doing, on Facebook and seeing how they're growing and getting new gigs and stuff like that. And then a few years later, I moved back to Fort Wayne and started participating in the troupe. I can talk about one point on how it's like helped me in my life, basically. So I guess that would just be realizing that like it takes a lot of work to do like anything like amazing, because you can't just like start juggling like 4 juggling clubs. You can't do that. But if you work like every day and fail constantly, but keep the intention to eventually do that, after about 2 or 3 years, eventually you'll be able to juggle 4 clubs in there and stuff like that. So you can take a lesson like that and apply it to just about anything you want to do. And just keep working and working at something, and all of a sudden you can do something effortlessly that you thought would be like impossible before. So that's just a really good lesson that I think a lot of people in flow arts learn that, and it's really inspiring. I've heard people talk about that a lot, and they're like, oh, I've learned this lesson through flow arts, and I can apply it in other ways. So it's really cool thing to do. It takes a lot. So yeah, we just did a performance at Weather the Fort, and the actual performance was 20 minutes. And I was just thinking on the last like 2 weeks, like how much work we've gone into just for that little 20-minute performance. It's kind of crazy. Like the initial like negotiations and sending contracts, and then starting to think about what we're gonna wear, and then programming all the LED lights, and then figuring out what music to do and making a music playlist, make sure everyone's on the same page, and then going to an actual group practice. And then the day of is like, let me charge like 18 LED things, like the handles in my fire poi are LED, so everything's got to be charged. Do we have all the fuel, the safety blankets, all this stuff, and then loading up the car, and then driving and unloading the car, and then filling all the fuel and stuff, and then you go out and it's just a 20-minute performance, but so much stuff went into it, so much time and energy, but that's a lot. In terms of practicing, juggling is my favorite prop to practice with, because I have so much to learn, and so there's just tons of new material to practice, and it's really fun to nail a new trick. And but in terms of performing and just enjoying myself poi, because it's just an old friend, and I feel very, very confident with it, and it's just like easy and fun to spin. So practicing, juggling, performing, and for just enjoyment, poi is always going to be my first and favorite. I definitely have a lot to learn in the juggling world, but then beyond just learning the skills, the whole performance is a lot more than that. It's like the costume and stage presence, just remembering to smile. I still mess that up. That's like something I've been writing down, like keep this in mind. So crowd interaction. I mean, it's really endless what you can do and how you can be creative and stuff like that. So there's always room for improvement. So we have fire extinguishers always on hand, and we have safety blankets that are made out of something called duvetine, which is a fireproof material. I believe it's sprayed in something that's fireproof. So we have to have that, and then we always have to have at least one safety person, and their entire job is just to watch and make sure that we don't light ourselves on fire, or nobody's doing something stupid, or to keep like the audience away from us at a safe distance. And so there's our safety, and then there's the safety of the audience. We usually set up like some sort of physical barrier, like with like cones or a chain. And then there's also like physical structures. You want to make sure you're not lighting like a building on fire or something like that, so you're at a safe distance from that. So those are all things we keep in mind when we do a performance. It's been a pretty big part of my life, through the people that I've met, and it's took me around the world. I went to Thailand to work with a social circus group there once. That was pretty amazing. That was in 2012. That was an amazing experience, and I did a similar thing in India too. And then just the people in Fort Wayne, a lot of the people I hang out with are people that are in the fire troop, and I would say it's a big reason why I'm in Fort Wayne too. I was living in California before, and I like to travel a lot, and I guess a big reason that I'm here is because Fort Wayne has been so receptive to something that I love. And when I first moved back, I wasn't sure that how it would be perceived. particular like skill at proclivity or skill at juggling and stuff like that. It just took a lot of work and discipline and stuff like that, because I really wanted to get better at it. So I mean, if I can do that, just about anybody can get good at it. I've always tried to sometimes when people get good at a certain art form, and then people are new to it, then they look up to them, and then some people can be like, well, I'm so cool and I'm better than you. I've always tried to be very like open with like teaching people and learning people and letting them know like if they want to learn a trick, and maybe they're like, well, you're really good at this. I just try to show them and be like, oh yeah, I really struggle with this. It took me like 2 years to learn or something like that, so that they can realize that they can do it too with a little bit of work. Fire spinning is kind of like a weird, kooky niche thing you might not see, and so I would say just to be inspired to maybe like find their oddball art form that they like to do, and then just to be inspired to get really good at it and then go show the world it, you know what I mean? So that would be the number one thing. Hopefully mesmerize and entertain, but ultimately inspired, I would say. Come out to a show, yeah. If you haven't been to a show, come see us. Come see us do our thing.
I want dopamine.
Contact. Now my eyes are like, what's going on here? They're very confused. Yeah, it's so crazy how blurry that eye is and how clear that is. Like the difference is huge. I almost feel like it's like wrapped up like in my eyes. I don't know. It's weird.